So you've been founder and CEO of multiple companies, right? What keeps pulling you back to building more companies?
I was talking to my wife about this. You know, I think there's two parts of why I love building companies so much. The first part is the it's like the ultimate form of creative expression. Like what an amazing gift. Your people hand you millions and millions of dollars so you can build the thing you believe should be built on the planet. And you get to work with people you really respect and admire. And together you get to work on something. Like what an amazing privilege to do. So there's something about the experience of it which is just so addicting. I think it's very hard when you've been a founder to to not do that actually. You know what I mean? It depends on who you are and how long you've been doing it for, but I love the job. I think it's just the most fun I've ever had. And every challenge along, whether you're a millionaire or you're 10, you're 50, every challenge along the way, you're learning a ton the whole time, which is fun. And then I also joke with my wife, who asks me all the time. She's a professor. Um, she's like, "Why do you do it?" And I realize it's also like the only job I know how to do at this point. Like I don't really know how to do anything else. So I guess I just keep doing the job.
That's very interesting. I I can relate with a lot of that. Yes, the um, we are where we are because we are the sum of all the decisions we've made, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and somewhere, serendipity, our own agency, we got where we are, right?
Yep.
Um, so one of the things I've seen about building companies is that we can change the world, right? In in a small, hopefully bigger, um, but we can change the world.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing that I've seen on my company is, or that I like about building a company is when we hire people and we see how we are changing those people's life, because at the end of the day, those two people, they decide to join us for one reason or another, but
Yeah.
now their life is depending on the company
Your
being
decision.
successful.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Yes.
totally.
So I used to think about that as a very big weight, uh, but until I realized, well, yes, it is, but also it's a great opportunity because then we can help them change their life, right?
Yes.
So it's not only changing the world; it's changing people's life, right?
Totally agree. Yeah.
When I see,
And by the way, I just wanted to say
yeah,
too
go
for
ahead.
one second, which is that also shows that you're just a great leader. The fact that I always feel like being a CEO, being a leader, it's kind of a sacred oath that you take to protect the people on your team and to lead them to things that are better for them and to a certain extent it's because they also then take a sacred oath to their families to help provide. And so the fact that you said you feel the weight of it, it's not the only feeling, of course, but it's an important one. It's actually, I think, like it's so easy to have people who are in these higher ranks, management or CEOs, to kind of be villainized, you know?
Right.
And I don't know that folks who haven't sat in the seat truly appreciate that the best leaders, this is not because it means you get to drive fancy cars or go to cool dinners or networking. It's like you're willing to take the burden on. And someone's got to do it, and you think it's a sacred calling, and you do it, and you hold that um, in utmost important, I think.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean I think that pursuing profits as the only mean of the company or the goal of the company, I think that's not the best approach. I think
Yeah.
it's the in the more the more I get involved in my company, the more I learn about other people's companies, the more I realize that having a company that a profitable company with a mission statement has a much deeper impact on the world, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yes, the profit is something that we need in order to keep the company, alive and stable and pay everybody's payroll, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But it's different when you do it in this way, because now you have a purpose and you can give your team a purpose to pursue.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said another way, if your team doesn't have a mission and purpose bigger than yourselves, when the times get hard or the trying is intense or things seem bleak, it's going to be a lot harder for them to make it through. Where if it feels like there's a higher calling, it's a lot easier. There's an expression that someone gave me, which is you can have people who are mercenaries, just in it for the money, or people that are missionaries, in it for the mission. And it's actually something in between. That's where you kind of got to live. Like
Right.
you want to be accomplishing the mission, but not doing it at like personal expense.